Okay, we'll check the inside and outside of the tires. Make sure there's no debris in the tire walls and there's no cuts or bulges. Tread depth should be 2/32 tread depth, and we're going to make sure that there's no debris in the tread and that they appear to be wearing evenly. Check the inside and outside of the rims. Make sure they're not broken, cracked, dented, or welded. These are Bud wheels without spacers. If it had a spacer, we would check the spacer. Okay, we're going to check the lug nuts back here. Make sure we don't see any excessive shininess on the threads, indicating could be a loose lug nut. Check the axle seal. Make sure it's not leaking any fluid and the nuts are securely on it. And then make sure our valve stems and caps are in place. Okay, check our splash guard. Make sure it's securely attached, it's not broken or missing. Okay, we're coming around to the back of the bus. We're going to make sure that the reflective tape is present around the back door, also around the back edges of the bus, and the school bus should be reflective tape as well. We're going to check the clearance lights, make sure all 5 are illuminated, lenses aren't cracked, broken, or missing, or excessively dirty. The reds are alternating left to right, lenses aren't cracked, broken, or missing, or excessively dirty. Okay. We will check the back of the bus for any vandalism or damage. Okay. We're going to check at the end of the test. I would have you help me check my reverse lights, brake lights, and turn signals. Okay, we're going to make sure our registration lights are working on both sides and are illuminated, and our rear red reflectors are present, not excessively dirty. Okay, make sure we've got our number and our registration number. Open the back door, make sure it securely locks in place. Check the seal around the door, make sure the rubber's in good shape, it's not missing chunks out of it, or it's not damaged in any way. Check the rear windows, make sure they're securely in place, mounted to the door. Check under the seats for any suspicious items, anything that might have been left behind. And make sure that the floor's not rolling up anywhere or bubbled up anywhere. Okay, we would check the tailpipe with the bus turned off. We're looking to make sure there's no excessive soot buildup. If the bus was running, we'd make sure it was not putting off any moisture or any excessive white or black smoke. Okay, under the back end of the bus, we're going to check our airbags. Make sure that they are properly inflated. We don't see any damage or debris in the airbags. Also, check the shock. Make sure it's upright and we don't see any fluid leaking from it. If we haven't checked the differential, make sure that there's no fluid leaking from it anywhere. And check the rear frame rails and cross members for any damage, cracked, broken, twisted, or missing. And check the rear end of the exhaust line to make sure we don't have any holes in the exhaust line anywhere. Okay, we would check this side of the bus the same as we would the other side. The two big differences on this side is we can get a better view of the exhaust. We're checking to make sure there's no holes in the exhaust line, and there's no moisture leaking anywhere from the exhaust, and it's up in its hangers. Okay, and then we can also see the fuel cage and tank, and we're checking for any damage to the cage. Make sure we don't see any fuel leaking from the tank or from the fuel lines. Tank isn't dented, compromised, doesn't have any puncture holes in it anywhere, and is not leaking any fuel. Okay, check our fuel door. Make sure it opens and closes freely. And then we would check our fuel cap to make sure it is tight and we don't see any fuel leaking anywhere from around the cap. Okay, we'll get back on the bus using our handrails. Make sure we put our seat belt on. Okay, we'll restart the bus. Okay. What we're going to do now is check the parking brake to make sure that it holds. We're going to put the bus in drive and then push against it by hitting the gas pedal. Make sure that it holds the bus. And then we're going to check the transmission by running it through the gears. We're listening for any knocks, pings, or squeals, or feeling that the bus isn't jolting as we're running it through the transmission. Okay, when I put it in reverse, I hear the reverse alarm, which I hear. And I will sound my horn and put the bus in, release the brake, check the steering wheel to make sure there's no more than 2 inches of play as I'm backing up. I'm also listening to the engine to make sure there's no knocks, pings, or squeals coming from the engine, and I'm going to apply the brakes gently to make sure that they stop the bus without any excessive noise. As I go forward, I'm going to give it a little gas, then hit the brakes harder, and when I do that, I'm checking to make sure the bus doesn't lunge from one side or the other, indicating the brakes may have an issue, or that we could have a tire going down or a suspension issue. And at this point, you would check with the examiner to see if he wants to check your reverse lights, brake lights, and turn signals. And that concludes the pre-trip.